Hi guys and welcome back to Windeby. This is episode 8 of our City Skylines project and I'm glad that we are back after 2 weeks and thank you for all your advice. I'm sure the waiting for this episode will pay off because we are not only going to build the Oldtown police station, as you might have already read on the video title, but we also are going to expand the Oldtown and coming to the completion of the Oldtown. So I started by placing some parking lots here because we have a very high demand for parking since I enabled the realistic parking option. And I first tried out to make those parking lots a little bit more interesting by placing some brick decals. This turned out to be not possible in the end because the flickering was too huge. But I also will place a little parking lot for the police cars and service vehicles of the police station in this area, and here it worked well to make those parking spots a little bit more different with the red brick decals, and it turned out really nice. I also, since we are building a very green city, created this planter here in this triangle, and I placed some flowers and also a tree here. And I really like this area in the end and how it turned out. So since Windeby is fictionally located in Germany, I am using German police cars here, which I turned into POs thanks to the converting option in the new version of Move It. And I really like the result of this parking lot. To avoid other people parking in this parking place, I placed some fences by Titan to close the parking spot here for public, and it gives just a little bit more reality and more realism, and adds also a little bit of detail here. I also wanted to make this parking lot utilized for visitors of the public library, so I placed 2 benches here so people can take a book and go outside for reading it. Just a little detail here. So now we move on to the first block of the blocks we will fill in today. And here's one special thing already. You see this building, this Hansa building by Mr. Miyagi on this corner on the right side of the screen, and I wanted to enlarge it into the corner of the street, and I placed this nice building by Findbuild, which has matching window sizes, and I also made the colors of the buildings match together by using the painter mod. And the cool thing is the roof texture of the Findbuild house. I'm sorry for this black screen. This should have been cut out before. On the other parts, I don't know why I have this black screen so often in this episode in the footage, but on the other parts I cut it out successfully, but this time it stayed in. What was I talking about? So the roof color of the Findbuild house was changeable, and the wall texture of the Mr. Miyagi house was changeable, so I could match both colors in this corner, which is pretty cool. So, as usual, I'm using a mixture of different buildings and different styles. For example, the Renaissance and Baroque and half-timber houses by Titan, some buildings by Last Gecko, Hansa houses by Mr. Miyagi, and other houses which I won't mention every asset creator here, but thanks to everyone who's creating European assets, because we have so nice buildings on the workshop today. It's pretty cool. I also used a trick here by copying and pasting those two corner buildings here, or this was one building I combined into a corner building, and with this method you can save time, and it's pretty cool. So nothing special here on the back sides of the houses. I'm doing my usual stuff. You guys voted to let this in the time lapse, but yeah, since I don't have to tell you every time how I make it, you can see it very clearly. I will leave you now with some music, and I will join you in the commentary later. So now we move on by placing this, or by filling up this very special street block here. It's very narrow and I had to squeeze in many buildings, many little buildings, and also I had to overlap them, and since it's difficult in my opinion to make this in a realistic way, because sometimes people just overlap buildings and it doesn't look organic, or as those buildings were growing in an organic way. And I took my time to try out different buildings and to try out different combinations of the buildings, and in the end I think personally it looks very organic in this narrow street corner here. And I hope you share this opinion with me. But we are moving on to this little inner court of the monastery, and I wanted to give it a little bit more greenery, so I placed four little planters here with some decorative bushes and some flowers as well, and it's not as much detail as you would expect, but it makes such a difference, and it's very, very nice. So now you can see me struggling a little bit with the right buildings or the right positioning of the buildings to make this look realistic, and I had to remove some buildings and replace them, but in the end it's worth it. Definitely it's worth it. For example, now I'm searching for so many buildings and finally decided to go for this one. Since this little part here, it's like a little plaza in front of the monastery, it's like a focal point of this part of the old town, I wanted to detail it a little bit further, and I did this by placing some planters and some benches, and here in this Gothic house I decided to decorate the facade with some vineyards, and it turned out pretty nice. One shout out I want to make is for Lord Gruny, who released this Parisian or this French shop building here in this corner, and it comes in different ways or in different options. So you have this basic building and then you can select 4 different types of shops, and that's such a game changer for me, because in my opinion, because now you can place one building or download one building, but you have like 4 different buildings selected with it, and that's so cool. Definitely I want to see more people using this option. That would be so awesome. Now we are coming closer to this clock tower, and I wanted to place some higher buildings here to integrate this clock tower better. And towards the Ring Street we have very new developed houses, like 19th century, 20th century, early 20th century buildings, and behind the clock tower, behind the place where the city walls would have been, we have like half-timbered houses, and this building variety is so realistic. It gives such character to this house block here, and definitely also lighting is very important. But this huge building I placed next to the clock tower, I'd imagine it would be the court of arbitration, and also the tower some kind of a prison in the late Renaissance or Baroque era, and also this new building next to it, this Court of Arbitration, also built in the mid 1800s or 19th century. And on the other side of the on the courtyard, I decided to place some more trees and some more relaxing areas. In the last minutes of this video, I'm decorating this ring street, and also placed some buildings which we will have to decorate in future episodes. And I also added some details here, like street cafes or other things. Guys, that's pretty much it for today's episode. I want to say thank you, and make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you like this episode. It helps out to find this video, other people to find this video. Thank you to Simon Karlstein, my Patreon, and if you want to support me, check out my Patreon page. I also want to encourage you to follow me on Twitter, because I'm posting there my best screenshots of Windeby and other City Skylines projects, and in case you want to get in touch with me and other players of this game, make sure you join the amazing family of the Verum Positiers in Discord. But guys, that's it. Bye bye.